Horner syndrome. Look closely at these eyes. Pupil is smaller, the eyelid droops not completely, and the same side of face appear dry. Together, these subtle signs indicate Horner syndrome. Horner syndrome is a neurological condition caused by disruption of sympathetic nerve pathway of eye and face, typically on one side. It presents with a classical triad: first, partial ptosis, drooping of upper eyelid; second, meiosis, a constricted pupil; and third, anhidrosis, loss of sweating and flushing on affected side of face. To understand why these signs appear, we need to see how these structures normally function under oculosympathetic pathway that run from the brain to the eye. Imagine the sympathetic pathway as a long relay race with three runners and two crucial handovers. The signal is carried as a baton. Three runners are first order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron, stopping at two critical relay stations: the ciliospinal center of Budge-Weiler and superior cervical ganglion, and finally reach to the eye. The first order neuron begins in the posterolateral hypothalamus. From here, the fiber descend through the brain stem without crossing. Then they enters the cervical spinal cord. The pathway ends at ciliospinal center of Budge, located between C8 and T2. Here, the first synapse occur and the signal is relayed to second order neuron. The second order neuron begins at the intermediolateral column of spinal cord and exit at the level of T1 through the ventral root. They pass through the chest and ascend in sympathetic chain along the side of vertebral column. Up to this point, the pathway lie within the brain and spinal cord and relatively protected. Once the fibers leave the spinal cord, they become vulnerable. They pass through chest, close to the apex of the lung, the subclavian vessel, and brachial plexus. Finally, it reached the superior cervical ganglion, located at the level of C3, C4, near the angle of mandible and beside the bifurcation of common carotid artery. Here, the second synapse occur and the signal is relayed to third order neuron. The third order neuron travel along the internal carotid artery, embedded within its outer covering, the adventitia. They enter the cranial cavity, pass through the cavernous sinus close to abducens nerve, and finally enter the orbit by the nasociliary nerve. In orbit, the fibers supply the eye via the long ciliary nerve and innervate the dilator pupillae, Muller's muscle, and facial sweat glands. Interruption at any level of this three neuron pathway produce the classical sign of Horner syndrome. Partial ptosis occur due to paralysis of Muller's muscle, resulting in loss of upper eyelid tone. Meiosis occur when the dilator pupillae is paralyzed, and unopposed parasympathetic activity allows the sphincter pupillae to dominate. Anhidrosis is explained by disruption of pseudomotor pathway supplying the face. Sympathetic pseudomotor pathway innervates the sweat gland and facial blood vessels. It begins in hypothalamus and follows the sympathetic pathway up to superior cervical ganglion, supplying the ipsilateral face and body. Beyond this point, at the bifurcation of common carotid artery, the pathway splits. Most fiber travel with external carotid artery, supplying the sweat gland of face and neck. A smaller group of fibers follows the internal carotid artery, supplying the sweating of forehead and lateral side of nose. This split is clinically important in localization of lesion in Horner syndrome. Causes: the interruption of sympathetic pathway can occur at three levels, and each level point to different causes. Central lesion: the common causes are brain stem stroke, demyelination, and tumor. Preganglionic lesion: it is a most common site. The classical cause is Pancoast tumor at the lung apex, compressing sympathetic fibers. Other causes include vascular injury due to trauma and surgery. Postganglionic lesions occur along the carotid artery, caused by carotid dissection and cluster headache. In Horner syndrome, the eye shows a classical triad of meiosis, and anhidrosis. These signs only confirm the Horner syndrome, but the accompanying clue tell the cause. In central region, the clues are neurological like ataxia, vertigo, lateralized weakness, and sweating loss is extensive, affecting half of the body. In preganglionic lesion, patient usually complain of shoulder and arm pain due to injury of brachial plexus. There may be wasting of a small muscle of hand due to C8T1 nerve involvement, and sweating loss is limited, involving only the face and neck. In postganglionic lesion, the main clues are headache and deep orbital pain. There may be extraocular nerve palsy due to sixth nerve involvement in cavernous sinus. Facial sweating is usually preserved except over the forehead and sometimes lateral side of nose. The diagnosis begins with careful history and focused ocular examination, noting the classical triad. Pharmacological testing help us in two ways. First, to confirm the Horner syndrome. Next, to localize the lesion. Epaclonidine confirm the Horner syndrome and hydroxyamphetamine localize it. Horner syndrome is often pointed to serious underlying pathology, and to identify the pathology, imaging is crucial. Symptomatic treatment is rarely needed, and management is aimed at treating the underlying cause. In Horner syndrome, anatomy speaks through the eye and reminds us the eye is not just for a vision. It is a window for neural pathways, vascular health, and hidden diseases.